Part 87. Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me, the boss lost his memory and only remembers me. Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 861. Hime was talking ecstatically, while Wen Xiao and Susie watched her make a small speech with expressionless expressions. Hey, I'm thinking that I have to introduce a girl to us, a CE, who can take good care of him, has a gentle and considerate family background, and is worthy of him, don't you think? No answer. Hime's speech was not affected at all and she waved to Du-Yun. The moment Du-Yun saw Susie, she was stunned instinctively. She thought that he was a big talker, liked to talk big words, and didn't have high expectations. She thought that the conditions must be bad, so she deliberately made her appearance look bad. If you are tall, in fact, the real person is just average. Unexpectedly, Susie is really handsome, impeccably handsome, tall and handsome, with a good temperament. He is wearing dark plaid pajamas, his hair is a little messy, he has a more youthful and lazy look, he is a complete nobleman. The breath made her heart leap into her throat. Hime waved, and Du-Yun quickly ran under the big tree, his eyes glued to Susie. Susie felt a little uncomfortable being stared at and frowned slightly. Now, this is my friend's daughter, her name is Du-Yun. She has a good look. She graduated from a prestigious university. Now she is a teacher at Haiken Normal University. She will be rated next year. Her parents have 2 houses, and she owns there is also an apartment in the city. The conditions are really good. Even if you are not good, your sister-in-law will not introduce it to you. CE, take a look. What is Susie looking at? When Susie reaches the age of 30, he is essentially a research machine without emotions. He is not interested in women, and of course, he is not interested in men either. He has no intention of falling in love or getting married. What catches your eyes? Wen Xiao saw her uncle's expressionless face. She was not a person with developed empathy, but she could feel her uncle's emotions and inner thoughts. She said, "Aunt, your kindness is appreciated. But, my brother-in-law still wants to focus on work and has no thoughts of falling in love." Poof, Hime couldn't help but laugh. Wen Xiao. Susie. What's so funny? Hime covered her mouth and couldn't help but said happily, CE, your ticket sales job at the old amusement park is nothing to focus on, and there is no future. It will definitely not affect your love. As a man, get married first, and then lie. Du-Yun's father is the deputy chief physician of the orthopedics department of our Haiken No. 1 hospital, Ace, I can introduce you to a job when the time comes. Wen Xiao frowned, his expression was not good. Susie said coldly, no need, I'm quite satisfied with my job at the amusement park and I have no plans to change jobs. The smile on Du-Yun's face turned cold. This man was handsome, but he didn't seem to want to make progress. How could he be satisfied with a shabby job selling tickets at an amusement park? His future is uneventful, and you can see at a glance that he won't have any big future. To be honest, if he didn't have such a face, she would really look down on this kind of man. Su-Yun couldn't help but said, a CE took the self-taught undergraduate examination at the medical university some time ago and got full marks in all subjects. Her brother was excellent, she had to say that. Hime was a little unimpressed. Su-Yun, I'm not saying that I look down on self-study students. You are a little out of touch with society. Good units, especially civil servants in public institutions, have been told directly not to self-study undergraduate students. Wen Xiao, Director Zheng from the Education Bureau came over before and asked my uncle to work at the Fukai-affiliated hospital, but he refused. Du-Yun rolled his eyes without leaving any trace. This family knew how to brag, they were just exaggerating their own worth. Hime pulled Wen Xiao and whispered, it's okay to brag. People will laugh at you. You may be laughing at you behind your back for trying to make money for your brother-in-law. Wen Xiao, I'm not bragging, everything I said is true. Remembering the Qingming festival, remembering the family and the country forever. Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me, the boss lost his memory and only remembers me. Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 862. He may looked like she was too lazy to pay attention to her, and turned around to pull Susi, Si, there is no such store after passing this village. You must see such a good opportunity. Xiaodu has such conditions. It's really good. I work so hard to get her to agree to go on a blind date. You don't know how many people want to be with her. Susi. He had never encountered such an experience in his life of being forced to come over to a woman. Even if he wanted to refuse, he didn't know which word to say first. Wen Xiao, Auntie, my brother-in-law feels that Miss Du is not suitable for him. Please stop forcing yourself on others. If it's not convenient for my uncle to speak, let her do the talking. Wen Xiao felt that what he said was decent enough. He did not step on the woman and told the truth. It was easy for everyone to talk and part ways without making their faces look ugly. But she didn't expect that her words touched Miss Du's sensitive nerve. Miss Du suddenly turned cold and looked at Susi with a disdainful expression. You really think you are so great? Didn't you just do well in the self-study exam? Susi had no experience in rejecting girls. I have no experience arguing with girls. He was stunned for a moment, wondering what the girl was angry about and why she suddenly tore off her ladylike face and spoke harshly to him. You really know how to put money on your face, Director of the Education Bureau? Minister of Health. Your family is too unrealistic. Why didn't you tell the mayor to invite you to work in the city hall? Do you look down on me? I still don't like you. I read this long paragraph through gritted teeth. He Mei was extremely embarrassed and pulled Susi, hurry up and apologize to Xiaodu. Xiaodu's conditions are really good. Her brother-in-law is really arrogant and doesn't know how to be harmonious at all. But I heard Du Yun say with a bit of yin and yang, no need, I don't want to compete with a Phoenix man who did very well in his self-study undergraduate exam. After saying that, he turned around and walked out. Susi also asked Wen Xiao, what does Phoenix man mean? He has been abroad for many years and really doesn't understand what it means. Wen Xiao rubbed his chin, it's not a good word anyway. Du Yun walked out. As soon as he went out, he bumped into two men. He looked up and saw that they looked familiar. After thinking about it carefully, they seemed to be in the local news often. They seemed to be Director Zhang from the Education Bureau. Du Yun's heart skipped a beat. I was a little annoyed that I seemed to be too impulsive just now. Could it be that the other party wasn't bragging? Director Zhang is now a frequent visitor to this small courtyard. He is also about to retire. He has been worrying about education all his life. Now his work has been handed over to the next person. He is also idle now. He comes to see him every now and then. Susi wanted to persuade him to enter a hospital or pharmaceutical company to engage in scientific research. Every time I get frustrated, I still don't give up. Director Zhang. Susi nodded slightly as a greeting. Du Yun found that Susi was neither humble nor overbearing in front of the director of the Education Bureau. Instead, Director Zhang showed a somewhat flattering smile, which she couldn't believe. He Mei was stunned for a moment. What Director Zhang? Could it be all true? Director Zhang said cheerfully, are you friends here? Wen Xiao said lightly, relatives? Director Zhang greeted He Mei politely, hello. He Mei suddenly felt a little embarrassed, and her attitude as a small citizen was clearly visible. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me, the boss lost his memory and only remembers me. Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 863. Wen Qiao said kindly, "This is the director of Heikan Education Bureau, Director Zheng. My aunt suspects your identity." He may almost knelt down. Director Zheng looked like a big shot at first glance. How dare she doubt his identity? Director Zheng was happy. "Ah, really? How can I prove my identity?" Wen Qiao found that Miss Du, who had just left the scene angrily, came back again. Her expression was no longer angry, but returned to the gentle and ladylike manner she had shown when she first came in. "I know you. You are Director Zheng of the Education Bureau. I often see you on the news. It is a great honor to meet Director Zheng here." Du Yun stretched out his hand, and Director Zheng shook her hand warmly. "Hello." Du Yun looked flattered. He may also stretched out her hand tremblingly. "Director Zheng, I'm so sorry, I don't watch the news very much, I only watch my old uncle." Director Zheng has a good temper. "My uncle is very good, and my wife also loves watching this show." Du Yun couldn't help but ask, "Director Zheng, why are you here?" Director Zheng smiled and said, "I'm visiting Thatched Cottage. I want to ask Susi to work in the hospital. Since you are all his relatives, can you help me persuade him?" Du Yun and He Mei's faces hurt a little. Du Yun's expression was completely different from Gang Cai's. This man was not a loser. She was really too impulsive. She shouldn't have said those unpleasant words. However, if she is willing to admit her mistake and submit, the other party probably won't mind too much. She believed that this man would definitely be able to achieve a great career, and with his face, he would definitely be a potential stock in the future. She couldn't miss it. How could He Mei still dare to speak? There are so many mistakes to be made, and when the time comes she is attacked by her niece, where will she put her face? On the other hand, Du Yun, seeing her for the first time, seemed to have been promoted to MRSU, with familiarity in her tone. "Susi, you see Director Zheng has been here a few times, you just give me face, in the hospital. What a decent job you have and a high social status. Anyone who sees you in the future will respect you." "Susi, who is this person? Why did he persuade her when he was talking to himself?" "Wen Qiao, this lady has a slightly bigger face." Susi looked at Director Zheng. "Sorry, I really won't work in the hospital you mentioned. He has researched many of the drugs in the hospital. As a top professor of medicine, there is no need for him to go to the hospital to be a junior doctor. And he doesn't like restraint or being controlled. Forget it." He spoke so categorically that Director Zheng felt hurt. Why was this young man so stubborn? What magic power does that small playground have that attracts him to stay there? The work won't be busy. If you want, you can go to work from 1 to 3 and have 4 days off every week. Du Yun was shocked. This was the kind of treatment only expert doctors received. "Let's stop this man as soon as he's done with it." "But I heard Susi say, I'm not going, thank you. We've given you a salary of 20,000, Xiao Su, I really admire you personally, you." Seeing that Director Zheng was really sincere, Wen Qiao felt that she had to betray him no matter what, so she pulled her uncle's sleeve. "How about going 1 day a week?" The only person Susi gave face to was his niece. After thinking for a moment, he said, "I'll go 1 day a week." "Can Director Zheng do that?" "Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me, the boss lost his memory and only remembers me." Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 864. Du Yun saw Director Zheng looking relieved and held Susi's hand. Okay, just 1 day at a time, it's okay, the salary. It doesn't matter, just give it to you. He has no idea about money. Anyway, he has a lot of money in his account, and he can easily take 20 million to donate a building to his niece. I'm not short of money. Du-yoon couldn't believe that director Zheng would put the bottom line so low for an ordinary person. Among the experts at the Fuxing-affiliated hospital who only visit 1 day a week, which one is not a PhD in medicine, and which one is not an expert who has published countless papers in professional medical journals? It seems that the higher UPS attach great importance to Susie. She must work harder to win over this man who has not yet accomplished much. If you work 1 day a week, I'll give you 15,000 a month. Do you think that's okay, Xiaosu? Susie, is it too much? He was asking Wen Xiao for his opinion. Du-yoon. Are there people who are so naive that they think the salary is high? 15,000 is okay, I think. Prices in Haikan are high, Du-yoon interrupted. Susie's eyebrows twitched. Why does this woman always like to turn against guests? Who is she? Does she have the right to speak? Wen Xiao said to Director Zheng, 15,000 is fine, you can decide what to do. If you think my uncle is not qualified for this 15,000 job, you can prescribe him. Don't increase the burden on the hospital. Director Zheng smiled, I can't go wrong with the person I like. Xiaosu will definitely shine and contribute to the medical cause. Susie, it's hard to say. Du-yoon, this person has a super high IQ, but his emotional intelligence is probably negative. Director Zheng is the leader after all, yet he speaks so irrationally. There is still a lot of room for adjustment and teaching. Director Zheng finally succeeded in visiting the thatched cottage 3 times, and when he left, he appeared to be somewhat cheerful and inconsistent with his status. When Director Zheng left, he Mei slapped her thigh. Hey, let me tell you, RACE will definitely have a big future. Wen Xiao, when did you say that? He Mei grabbed Susie's arm and said, the director of the Education Bureau has personally invited you to work in the best hospital in Haikan, and you will be treated like an expert doctor. They value you very much. Susie broke away without leaving a trace, his expression a little indifferent. Du-yoon came forward and greeted him with a smile. Susie, I'm sorry, what I said just now is that I have high hopes for you. Susie. Why would a stranger have high hopes for him? In this case, let's try to get along for a while first, what do you think? Susie's indifferent expression cracked again, what are we getting along with? Du-yoon, let's get along as boyfriend and girlfriend. Susie finally couldn't help but said, sorry, Miss Du, I have no interest in you and have no intention of getting along with you. This was said bluntly and without mercy. Du-yoon's face turned pale, thinking that Susie had low emotional intelligence and was not very good at talking. Then he smiled and said, you don't have to reject me so quickly. You should think about it carefully and leave your mobile phone number. Susie became more and more indifferent, no need. He Mei grabbed Du-yoon and said with a smile, well, Susie, let's not disturb you for now. You haven't had breakfast yet, so let's have breakfast first. After saying that, he pulled Du-yoon away. Xiao Du, what do you think of my brother-in-law? Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me, the boss lost his memory and only remembers me. Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 865. Du-yoon didn't feel awkward. He wanted to praise but was afraid of appearing too low-priced. It's not bad. He Mei patted her hand, what's okay? You see, he looks very talented, and some big shots are optimistic about him. He will have a great future in the future. Du-yoon smiled, it also depends on whether he has the ambition. Yes, as a man, there is a woman who manages the house to encourage him and promise to make progress. What he needs is a good wife like you. Du-yoon lowered his head and smiled. I'll give you his mobile phone number. People say that if a woman chases a man, you can definitely win him over. Auntie is waiting to drink your wedding wine. In the yard, the family went into the house to have breakfast. Soo-yoon muttered, Ace, don't listen to your sister-in-law. If you want to talk, you can talk. If you don't want to, just refuse. Don't worry about her face. Susie, I don't care about her face, so I won't talk about it. Wen Qiao became interested. Uncle, what kind of girls do you like? Susie's hand holding the chopsticks paused. I don't know. Have you never been in love in your life? No. Wen Qiao rubbed his chin. Okay. Zhou Tao's Green Jade tour was completed at the end of April and took a total of 120 working days to shoot. The final banquet was scheduled to be held at a 5-star hotel near Nanqiao Company. Wen Qiao drove to the company in the afternoon. Bihai Road is an old 2-lane road, a very long road, with large and small entertainment companies on it. When Wen Qiao's car passed Wanyi Entertainment, a Bentley sedan drove out of the yard. It stands to reason that if Wen Qiao's car goes straight and the other party wants to turn left onto the main road, the other party should give way to Wen Qiao. Wen Qiao saw that the luxury car had no intention of slowing down when it came out of the yard, so she immediately stepped on the brakes, and the other party hit the front of her car just a little bit. Liang Junhao, the president of Wanyi Media, is the company that previously competed with Fu Nanli's movie Xia Kong. This company is the largest entertainment company on Bihai Road and has produced many movie stars and actresses, so luxury cars come out of the compound from time to time. Wen Qiao frowned, and the driver's window of the oncoming luxury car was lowered. The driver, who had a big head, a thick neck and a sinewy face, spat at Wen Qiao. Are you blind? Wen Qiao, I went straight, I let you go. I thought you should say thank you, but I didn't expect you to ask me if I was blind. I think you are probably blind yourself. The big-headed driver was stunned for a moment. He didn't expect that he would be attacked by a young girl after driving on Bihai Road for so many years. The car in the back seat slowly lowered, and the person sitting there was Xia Tang, who had won the Golden Plum Award for Best Actress some time ago. Xia Tang was wearing a pair of black sunglasses. He hooked his sunglasses with his index finger and glanced at Wen Qiao with a somewhat expression. Disdainful. The man next to her seemed to be her assistant or agent, and he explained with the same disdain, from Nanqiao Company, there are a few small traffics, and Tong Wei went to the Golden Lion Award. Mr. Xia Wen is crazy very good. Xia Yingke rolled her eyes again. Wen Qiao seemed to understand why the driver of Xia Film Queen was so aggressive. Xia Tang spoke slowly, don't think that you can be arrogant just by being with Mr. Fu. You entered the industry late, so you are considered a junior. When you see a senior, you still have to be polite. Wen Qiao raised an eyebrow. I'm not an artist, thank you. Xia Tang's eyes behind his sunglasses were full of displeasure, and he made a short hum sound from his nostrils. He said in a lazy tone, why don't you leave? You have to talk so much with an idle person. The dinner is about to begin. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me, the boss lost his memory and only remembers me. Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 866. The driver of Hangru glared at Wen Qiao and gently stepped on the accelerator. Because he was too preoccupied with looking at Wen Qiao instead of looking at the road, the front of the car had just gone halfway when he was hit by an Audi speeding on the main road with a bang. Wen Qiao. Retribution comes quite quickly. Xia Yingqueen was sitting in the back seat and was almost thrown out of the car. The sunglasses on her face were crooked and she fell onto her manager. The sound of car tires scraping the ground and the woman's screams were mixed together. Wen Qiao watched a big show before his eyes. In the end, Xia Yinghao's car was knocked back in front of Wen Qiao. In a panic, Wen Qiao shook his head gently. Obviously the other party is not as polite as me. Senior Xia should pay more attention in the future. The road is not yours. If you don't obey the traffic laws, you will get hit. After saying that, he drove around the back of her luxury car. In the rearview mirror, the driver of Xia Yingkan got out of the car and wanted to beat up the person who hit them. Soon a traffic policeman on a motorcycle came over. There are cameras here, they must be fully responsible. After a while, when I arrived downstairs of the company, there were 2 trucks parked in the yard of the building next door. The moving company was moving things inside. The previous company went bankrupt and the last company moved out 2 months ago. It seems that a new company has moved in. A black Maybach slowly entered the yard, with the back seat window half opened. Wen Qiao caught a glimpse of a man wearing a black suit and a black shirt sitting inside. The man seemed to be looking at her too. The look in his eyes made her feel uncomfortable. His car entered the yard, got out of the car and went upstairs. Zhou Tao greeted him, "Are you going to the closing banquet tonight too?" "Well, go and thank the director and them for taking care of you." Zhou Tao smiled. Lu Yuyu came in with a bunch of information. This film has good momentum. Zhou Tao's TV series is likely to be broadcast on the Stars. Wen Qiao nodded, "That's good, Yuyu, let me ask you something." "What? Is there a new company coming next door?" Lu Yuyu put the information on Wen Qiao's desk. "You actually started gossiping?" "It's a new company. I heard that the boss is quite rich. The company has just opened and has already signed several film and television contracts with popular stars." "Yes, a content company, also known as Capital Dad." "What's the boss's name?" Lu Yuyu leaned forward. "You don't often ask these questions, don't you? Why do you care so much about your neighbors alone?" "Wen Qiao, just ask." "I don't know what the boss's name is, but he must be a rich man." "Why do you ask this?" Wen Qiao frowned. "When I passed by the next door just now, there was a man sitting in the car, who seemed to have been looking at me." Lu Yuyu hooked her neck. "That's not because you are a great beauty. It's normal to look at you, but it's abnormal not to look at you." Hizue stood in front of an entire floor-to-ceiling window, holding a cigarette in his slender fingers. He looked very gloomy. Teresa beside him was a little trembling. "Sir, everything has been arranged. Do you have to choose the house next to Wen Qiao?" Through the floor-to-ceiling windows, you can vaguely see the office of the company next door. With the blinds drawn, you can't see the scene inside. This is a good view. "What? What do you want to say?" Teresa's forehead was covered with cold sweat. "Young master, he actually has a pretty good relationship with Wen Qiao, so. Gu Xiao has been in a coma for several months. No one can tell when he will wake up or whether he will wake up. Fu Nanli hurt my brother, so if I hurt his girlfriend, it can be regarded as reciprocity. What do you think?" Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me. The boss lost his memory and only remembers me. Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 867. Teresa paused. "That's what you said?" In fact, what she wants to say is that if the young master wakes up, I'm afraid he won't want you to hurt Miss Wen. She didn't dare to say. No one dares to openly disobey Mr. I heard that Mr. Su entered a hospital in Haikan as a doctor. Hizue took a puff of his cigarette, and mist sneered out of the corner of his mouth. "Has he left Pentagram and has nothing to do? I heard that the hospital sent people to invite him several times, so for Mr. Su's sake." Teresa just didn't want the young master to wake up one day and see the situation in front of him. "Do you think Su can save face with me?" The man's voice was cold, which made Teresa's heart tingle, and she felt that she had said the wrong thing again. After all, Mr. Su has made a lot of contributions to Pentagram. As dusk fell, the man lit up his cigarette and said in a gloomy voice, "If you like Mr. Su so much, then go work for Mr. Su, okay?" Teresa's heart trembled. "I'm sorry, sir." Hizue glanced at her coolly. "Get out." "Yes." Teresa left the man's office in a hurry, sighed, and hoped in her heart, "Gu Xiao, Gu Xiao, wake up quickly, otherwise Mr. Wen really doesn't know how to torment Miss Wen. At night, in the brightly lit hotel, the closing banquet of Qingyu House was held. Wen Qiao brought a tall wine glass and clinked it with the director. Thank you for taking care of our Zhou Tao. Mr. Xiao Wen is serious. Zhou Tao is a rare good actor and very dedicated. I am really happy to work with him this time. I hope we can have the opportunity to work together next time. Same. The previous few times on the set, Lu Wenzhou himself had gone to see Zhou Tao filming. However, this time at the wedding banquet, it was a chance encounter again because the hotel belonged to Lu Wenzhou. And Zhou Tao didn't know much about her ex-husband's property distribution, otherwise she would probably have to find an excuse to miss the wedding banquet. In the corner of the small hall, Junling was holding a glass of champagne, with one hand in his trouser pocket, and his eyes followed Zhou Tao. Zhou Tao was injured again 2 days ago. This filming really impressed him with the actress. She didn't use a stand-in and she filmed the whole process by herself. In the last scene, she was hit by a wooden board. Although it was a wooden board stuck together with adhesive, it hit her arm, so she still has several scars on her right arm. Zhou Tao said a few words to the director, then walked aside. Junling stepped forward, clinked the wine glass with her, looked at the injury on her arm, and whispered, "Does it still hurt?" "Zhou Tao, it's okay, it's almost scarring." Lu Wenzhou came down from the van elevator surrounded by the hotel's senior executives. Wherever he looked through the completely transparent elevator door, he saw Zhou Tao and the man. Wang Hui's expression was a bit wonderful. The second master of his family and Zhou Tao are a bit too fateful. This kind of fate is probably not what the second master wants. After all, there are other men around her every time. Thinking about it again, there used to be women around the second master. Is this a kind of retribution now? When the elevator reached the first floor, the senior executives were about to go out through the revolving door. Lu Wenzhou whispered, "You guys wait for me outside first." Wang Hui didn't even need to ask his second master now, he just said directly, "Yes." Lu Wenzhou seemed to have stepped there. As soon as he reached the door, he heard Junling say to Zhou Tao, "Maybe, can I pursue you?" There were only 2 of them in the corner, and no one noticed that there was a giant Buddha like Mr. Lu listening in the corner. "Lu are you abusing me a little too often? Thank you everyone for your monthly votes, grab 2 cuties and get 500 book coins, continue to vote and don't stop." 2 cuties, Dan Yuxiang and Shui Ying, came into the group to ask Xing Ji to accept the award. "Okay. Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me, the boss lost his memory and only remembers me." Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 868. As his ex-husband, he had no way to react. Even if he reacts, he will be ridiculed by Zhou Tao. He just stands there and listens to another man confessing his love to his ex-wife. And he knew that this man had evil intentions. Zhou Tao was stunned for a moment, not expecting Junling to be so straightforward. They are considered colleagues after all, and they are both celebrities. The circle is so big that they can meet each other without looking up. If she rejects him, wouldn't he feel embarrassed when he sees her in the future? But she could also feel Junling's kindness to her. He helped her buy medicines and meals, and was considerate and gentle. He was a completely different person from Lu Wenzhou. Who doesn't crave tenderness? Can I think about it? Junling's originally worried heart suddenly calmed down a little. She did not refuse directly, but said to think about it, which at least meant that he had a chance. Outside the door, Lu Wenzhou's face was ashen. Yes, of course. There were footsteps outside the door. Zhou Tao walked quickly to the door and saw only Lu Wenzhou's back. Junling's voice came, "Who is that? I don't know if you heard what we said." Zhou Tao said calmly, "It's okay if you heard it, or are you afraid that what you just said will be exposed?" Junling laughed dumbly, How could I be afraid? Zhou Tao, because you are considered a traffic niche, aren't you afraid that you will lose your followers if you fall in love? Jun Ling, I don't care. Zhou Tao smiled and said no more. Wen Qiao's phone buzzed with a message from Fu Nanli. I'm off work, where are you? I will pick you up. Wen Qiao sent him his location, and Fu Nanli sent another message, why are you at Lu Wenzhou's hotel? Wen Qiao, this turned out to be Lu Wenzhou's hotel. She really didn't know. Moreover, she thought Fu Nanli was abroad, so at today's finals banquet, she drank. She stretched out her hand and breathed lightly. Well, the wine tasted quite strong, and she probably felt a little tipsy. She immediately added a message, if you have been at the company all day, you must be very tired. I will go back by myself in a while. There is no need to pick me up. Already on the way. Wen Qiao quickly ran to Lu Yuyu and whispered, do you think I look drunk? Lu Yuyu pinched her face, look at your smiling face, it's so red, oh, you're so cute. Am I talking drunk? Heavy. Wen Qiao's heart stopped for 3 seconds, is there any first aid to remove the alcohol odor? Lu Yuyu, what are you doing? My boyfriend is coming, and he won't let me drink outside, especially until I'm drunk. Lu Yuyu chuckled, you are too strict with your husband, are you so afraid of the young master? You are not afraid. Lu Yuyu, shall I get you some mints? After Wen Qiao chewed 2 mint candies, she felt a little dizzy. As expected, the red wine hit her head. She only drank half a glass. She was the director of Sapphire and praised Zhou Tao so much that she felt honored. Couldn't help but take a few more sips. Did you give me mints? Why do I feel dizzy? Lu Yuyu brought a cup of green tea to her, if it's not mint candy, can it be ecstasy? You're doing this purely for psychological effects. What's wrong with you, Wen Qiao? A boss who is so cool and awesome in front of others, in front of your boyfriend, isn't it? Wen Qiao took 2 sips of green tea, I can't explain it to you. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me, the boss lost his memory and only remembers me. Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 869. After all, she couldn't beat Fu Nanli in bed. Maybe it was really a psychological effect. After eating the mint candies and green tea, Wen Qiao felt even more ecstatic. While she was standing outside the hotel blowing the wind for a while, the luxury car slowly drove up. Wen Qiao licked his dry lips, and the car stopped steadily in front of her. Qin Bei got out of the car and opened the door for her. She wore a champagne-colored long skirt and a beige knitted sweater, and the night breeze had a delicate and charming flavor. Wen Qiao approached the car door with some hesitation. The man's big hand reached out and grabbed her slender wrist. With a gentle pull, Wen Qiao fell into his arms. Wen Qiao felt suffocated and did not dare to breathe for fear that the smell of alcohol would reach the man's nose. Fu Nanli sniffed lightly, and Wen Qiao was about to step back, but the man pulled him back hard. Have you been drinking? Wen Qiao reached out and covered his nose, drink a little. Fu Nanli held her hand down, do you think you can't smell it if you cover my nose? Wen Qiao, are you so deceiving yourself? Wen Qiao's hand was still on his face, it's only half a cup. The dim lights flickering on and off passed across the carriage. Fu Nanli saw her face was blushing and reached out to touch it. It was hot. You don't remember what I said, do you? Wen Qiao was like a little scoundrel, you have said so many things, which one are you talking about? Fu Nanli reached out and pressed down the car window, leaving a crack. The evening breeze blew in, and the little rascal rested on his arm, smiling slightly, which touched his heartstrings. Don't drink outside, still drinking like this. Wen Qiao was probably really a little drunk, but at least he didn't pour a glass like before. Now he was a little drunk, and he still raised his chin. What's going on? What's going on? Fu Nanli's eyes darkened, and he spoke with gritted teeth, Wenqiao. When Wenqiao was drunk, he felt a little silly, charming and naive, and moved closer to the man. Hey, brother, I'm here. Qinbei raised the partition in a very sensible way. There was a sound from behind, but the two people in front remained motionless. Wenqiao didn't expect that the price she paid for being drunk this time was really not small. As a result, someone couldn't control it, so he actually killed her that night. Fu Nanli had not touched her before because he was worried. Because of her physical condition, which was later found to be blood-related, and because his blood could save her, he had been reluctant to touch her for fear of causing something. So Fu Nanli also kept observing her body that night. Fine. Nothing happened to her. After taking a shower, Wenqiao leaned on the bed. The person involved felt very regretful. What was she flirting with when she had nothing to do? The other client was very calm and restrained and called Li Fang, come to my apartment. The person opposite could not hide the sleepiness in his voice. Now. Now. Wenqiao wrapped the quilt tightly around him. Why do you call Dean Li here now? Fu Nanli hung up the phone, walked to the bed, reached out and touched her forehead. Let him check your body. Wenqiao, is that necessary? Have. There was a stethoscope and a blood pressure monitor in the room. When the eldest young master called, Dean Li arrived in half an hour. His hair was still messy and the buttons were buttoned incorrectly. He had obviously just crawled out of bed and rushed here in the chaos of the war. What's wrong? Is there something wrong with Xiao Wen's health? Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me, the boss lost his memory and only remembers me. Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 870. Li Fang followed Fu Nanli to the bedroom on the second floor. Dean Li, who thought Wenqiao was ill, never expected that he was summoned by the young master in the middle of the night to eat dog food. Wenqiao's neck was like a strawberry field, and it was about to have a good harvest. Li Fang felt that he had nowhere to look, so he looked around while checking her blood pressure. The eldest young master clicked his tongue from behind. Where are you looking? Li Fang, where can I look? You were checking her body and you didn't look at her. Why did you just look at the lamp? Li Fang turned around and saw, good guy, Wenqiao also had a cut at the corner of his mouth, his face was flushed, and his eyes were a little blurry. I don't blame the young master, I really don't blame the young master. After a while, Li Fang put down various instruments. The heartbeat is normal and the blood pressure is normal. If the young master is worried, go to the hospital for a more detailed examination tomorrow. Fu Nanli breathed a sigh of relief. I understand. Wenqiao, excuse me, Dean Li. No trouble, no trouble. If nothing happens, young master, can I leave first? Are you going to watch us sleep if you don't want to leave? What kind of unnecessary question is this? Li Fang choked and rushed out of the door. Although Li Fang said everything was fine, Fu Nanli felt uneasy and secretly blamed himself. Will his actions shorten Wenqiao's 7-day cycle in advance? Why couldn't he hold it back? However, Wenqiao had already gone to meet Duke Zhou because of fatigue. Fu Nanli lay down next to her, hugged her with his arms, and murmured in a low voice, thinking that this little thing was too annoying after drinking tonight. It was already 10:30 after Zhou Tao's end of the wedding banquet. Junling asked to see her off, but she didn't refuse. When they arrived at the old community, the car drove all the way to the downstairs of the apartment. Zhou Tao smiled and said goodbye to him. The sensor light at the door of her house was not very good. She took out a set of keys from her bag downstairs and climbed a few floors. In the dim light, just as she was about to insert the keys, a man's voice sounded from the darkness, your alertness, have you always had such bad sex? Zhou Tao was startled and looked back. Lu Wenzo was standing nearby, but she didn't even notice. There seemed to be a large suitcase next to him. The light was dim, so it was hard to tell what his expression was. She ignored him, turned her head, and inserted the key into the keyhole, as if he didn't exist, as if he was air. Did you know that if there were any gangsters hiding here, they could hold you in their arms and enter the house while you open the door? If the door is closed, do you think you can be saved? Zhou Tao had a headache after drinking. Have you said enough, Mr. Lu? Can I come in? Lu Wenzo's eyelids twitched, and he pushed the suitcase in his hand, and the wheel slid to Zhou Tao. The luggage you left behind at my residence was brought to you. Zhou Tao was a little short-sighted and wanted to reach out to catch the luggage lever that was pushed towards her, but she missed it and the suitcase hit her leg directly. She stretched out her hand to hold the doorframe, feeling that Lu Wenzo did it on purpose. He couldn't wait to pack her things and send them over, and even hit her with his suitcase. How much did he hate her? Actually, it doesn't matter whether you send it or not. Just throw it away. I don't have many things with you. You are so eager to send it here. Are you afraid that I will go to your place again? Don't worry, I won't go there again, Lu sir, you don't have to worry about that. The suitcase happened to hit her knee. She stretched out her hand to rub it, but it hit a bone and it hurt a lot.